Hey guys, I'm Garrett Lowe, driver the number 99 in the NASCAR Euro Series V8 GP. So I was an integral part of the development of the NASCAR Euro Series RC01 race car, and it was an incredible process to be able to work with the iRacing staff and engineers to not only fine-tune the car, but bring it to life in a sim as real as possible. I'm super excited for everyone to be able to try it because we put a lot of effort into this car to make it drive just like the real thing. As someone who's been pro-level sim racing in NASCAR for several years, the biggest thing I had to make sure that was right on the car was the way the tires feel. We were fortunate enough we had a little bit of time left over to dial in the new tire with the new compound this year. So even with the new compound, the car feels just as real as it does on the real racetrack. And that was something for me that I had to make sure was absolutely right, was the way the tire feels. It certainly feels like this is full circle now that I've gone from so many years of sim racing in NASCAR to here in the real world in NASCAR Euro Series, and now bringing this car into the sim world for the first time. It kind of brings things full circle, and it's a really cool process. So I think I'm most excited for the fans to get behind the wheel of the RC01, mostly because it's a tough car to drive. It's tough to drive it at the limit every single lap and manage the tires. But also I'm excited to see the other NASCAR Euro Series drivers get behind the wheel and hear their feedback, make sure I did my job right, helping get the car developed, and yeah, just go from there. I think the next Garrett Lowe could be sitting at home on iRacing, running the NASCAR Euro Series car, and develop their skills on the sim just like I did. And who knows, they could be a champion of the NASCAR Euro Series one day.
We're going to play chess while all these other boys are playing checkers.
Let's get as many points as we can. It all starts right here. You ready?
And the green flag is in the air. Here they come, storming to turn one. This is incredible! Can he get it done?
The grandstands are going wild.
Yeah, let's go, baby!
Boys.
Tonight on Countdown to Green, the crew looks back at what went down in Nashville. We look at what's in store at the action track. And we chat with Williams F1 Team Gaming's Donovan Strauss. All of that and more, coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello everybody and welcome to Richmond and the virtual Richmond Raceway for round 8 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. This is the Countdown to Green presented by Logitech. We are going short track racing tonight at the action track. Only a few more races to go before the playoffs start. Welcome in everybody, so glad that you are here. I'm Alan Cavana, joined by two of the best in the business, the man behind the steering wheel, Ryan Vargas. Ryan, this is a crazy little racetrack.
This is a crazy little racetrack, and it's one of my favorites, right? You can move all around this racetrack, and tire wear comes into play. This surface is very abrasive. It's kind of sneaky. Not a lot of people know about that, but this place certainly turns into a bit of a slip and slide late in a run.
And the man behind the mic, James Pike, back with us. So glad you are, James. Look, there's only a few more chances before the playoffs start, and to do it at a short action track could be fun.
Well, it's a tough place to make moves. Ryan's got a great point in that you can move all around this racetrack, but in order to get it to the front, you usually have to move somebody out of your way in order to gain the track position. So qualifying here, I think especially tonight, is at a premium.
Yeah, and look, we love making laps around an iRacing on this track like this, but if you can't and you're on your console, Ryan, I think you've got some great news for everybody.
Man, I am so excited because we finally get to talk about NASCAR 26. NASCAR 26 will launch September 18th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and on PC through Steam. You can NASCAR 26 is also available for pre-order already, so if you haven't get those pre-orders in, you can get it for standard edition at $59.99 or gold edition at $79.99. Gold edition includes a four monthly paint scheme DLC packs, 1,000 career mode rep points, and a $10,000 career bonus, and much, much more. One of the things that I'm really excited about this is the updated game physics. You're going to have a dynamic track. There's going to be marbles on the racetrack. So you're going to be really fighting the handle of these race cars as you continuously move throughout the ranks, building up your career mode, but also doing some online racing. So NASCAR 26, James, I am super excited about it.
Yeah,
it looked like some
I
awesome.
love 25, and it was neat to drop that, and I am super excited to see how 26 is going to drop as well.
Yeah, can't wait for some of those new tracks. Look like some championship racing at Homestead. Looking forward to all that. Even more news back on the sim side, James. The College Series, something pretty good is happening once we start back up.
Big announcement today. The eNASCAR College iRacing Series is back for 2026-27, and announced today there is a school championship in addition to the individual championship for drivers that Connor Yarashek took home last year. We're also going to see racing with some IMSA vehicles. The Ford Mustang GT4 is going to take part in 2 of the expanded field of 8 tournaments that we now have, up from the 6 that we had last season. There also is an iRacing Campus Ambassador program that was announced today. So if you're at school and you want to represent iRacing and potentially get your hands on some swag, some prizes from iRacing itself, there's an opportunity for you to do that. All of that you can find by scanning the QR code on the lower portion of your screen. We are excited, and we are not terribly far away, Alan, from the first time attack before we get to go racing in our first tournament at Echo Park Speedway. The Peachtree Pursuit kicks off on September 23rd. Not particularly far away from now.
Love it. Nothing like representing your school, wearing the school colors, especially those schemes. You gotta love that. Let's look back here in the Coke Series just last week. Guys, this Nashville race was good and had a very interesting ending and winner. Here's the start of it. I mean, right from the pole, Casey Kerwin, the former champ, looked like he was gonna do really good.
Absolutely. Casey Kerwin took advantage early, but an early spin from Daniel Falkingham here. Tough situation there. You saw Steven Wilson in there in the back. Big save by Ryan Luza here, James. There was a lot of action coming around this concrete 1.3 mile. Look at Kenny Brady here. Massive miss right there. Incredible job missing that. But, James, what a race that this was.
And Dylan Mason was able to take strategy and get out front, and he led a great amount of laps. One of his best performances of his eNASCAR career. And then Steven Wilson runs into trouble, blows a tire, hits the fence. And Ryan, that's about, I think, when this race really started to turn around.
Absolutely, and this is where you see a bit of a split strategy here. You see Parker White, he stays out, and several others do as well. This is what really shook up the running order. We talked about Dylan Mason being so dominant early. Gets caught up in one of these overtime incidents. This is not the only overtime incident of this race. There were several incidents, but it was all Bobby Z making this daring 3-wide pass through the middle to the outside of Parker White. And at the end of the day, Bobby Z could not be denied, moved himself up to second in the all-time wins list. Big win, and this win right here helped him take the points lead back from Steven Wilson. Now, technically, they're tied. Steven Wilson with his 2 wins plus his segment victory, and Bobby Z with his 3 wins. Bobby Z would get the tiebreaker here. What I'm looking at right now is Connor Yarashek and Casey Kerwin entering the chat right here. Connor Yarashek +9, Casey Kerwin +6. They have kind of established themselves. They're continuously starting to move up the grid. Sean Conklin, a rookie, 17 points to the good. He's probably got to feel pretty good right there. We talk about points and where you want to feel safe. If you're going into Daytona, you want to kind of have around a 40-point cushion here. A couple other really notable names here. Zach Novak in the 13th position. Jordy Lopez in 12th. Seth the Merchant down there in 19th. He's had a quiet year, but a very solid year so far. And a big thing to know that if any of these drivers in the top 20 do win a race, they immediately lock in into the playoffs. And now we're going to take a look at the Segment 3 standings. Bobby Z, as your winner of the first race of Segment 3, he is the leader of Segment 3. Casey Kerwin in second, Sean Conklin in third. One of the no-shows here, he's been dominant all season, been one of the up-fronters. Steven Wilson, because of that poor finish at Nashville, he's not in this screen. You do not see him on your screen here, James, and that's going to be very crucial when we talk about how the Segment 3 bonus pays off for the team's championship and everything else moving forward.
It feels safe to say that the Segment 3 bonus might not be going to Steven Wilson. Who gets it, though, I think is going to be an interesting question. If we look at the team standings, you look at the top 5 teams in the point standings there, all 5 of those teams have their drivers within the top 15 in the overall point standings. But some of those drivers a little bit deeper in the points, say Donovan Strauss, say Christopher Hill, Jordy Lopez, Femi Olant, they have room, I think, to go up another gear and go get this for their team. Yes, Spire has a lead, Alan, but I don't necessarily think it's invincible between now and Homestead.
Yeah, I mean, to think you could score about 70 points, between a team, so everything can shift in just a short amount of time. One of those drivers you mentioned, James, was Donovan Strauss. He has some work to do if he wants to vault himself into a playoff. He's one of those drivers who's made the sim to reality dream come alive. Here's more on Strauss.
Racing at this point is my life. It's everything about me. So obviously I have an outside world I try and get to, but racing is just my life. I raced a lot when I was younger. I had a lot more time on my hands, but I was really competitive, and I took pride in that, and I went to try and make it pro. I made it. Sim racing was the first type of racing I ever did, and I just did it to have fun with it because I wanted to race something, and I was competitive in any race I would do, and I was strong, so I went for pro. The next year, in 2020, I made it to the second series. It used to be called the Pro Series, and I missed out on qualifying for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And then 2021, I went and qualified for it again, and this time I made it through. I lived in Miami, Florida when I first started sim racing, and I've wanted to race since I was 5-6 years old, and I came up with a plan on what I needed to do to get started racing at 14, and I went to my mom and I told her, I said, I need to do this, I need to do this, and I need to do that. So I kind of came up with a whole plan at the age of 14, and I've stuck with it, and here I am 5-6 years later, trying to make my way through NASCAR. The similarities is definitely how close the competition is. The Cars Tour is just so competitive. I mean, qualifying in that series 1st to 20th is within a 1/10.5 of a second, and that's kind of how eNASCAR is. So that's the biggest similarity for sure. I'm not involved in setting up the car, but I know what goes into the cars, and I know I have ideas for adjustments that might be better at the racetrack. So I'd say sorta. I know what things do, so that's the advantage I have. I go back and forth with Dale Jr. on text message a few times a year, every time he comes to the racetrack, or I talk to him sometimes via text. So that's kind of like where I get starstruck, is because like 3 years ago I would have never believed that, right? So that's the part that kind of gets me. One of the biggest reasons I do it is because Williams has been behind me for 4 or 5 years now, and I want to keep representing them and pushing them forward. So as long as I can do it, time-wise and mentally, and not get too crowded in my life, I'm going to try and do it.
Really neat to hear from Donovan Strauss there. He made his Truck Series debut at North Wilkesboro. He's a regular competitor in the late models in the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. Alan, Ryan, he races just about anywhere he can, whether or not it's in real life or on the sim.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about Donovan Strauss that I really like is just the level-headedness, right? He seems to be very grateful, very thankful to be in the position he is. You hit on the fact that he made his Truck Series debut. It didn't go the way he wanted. He had a cool shirt malfunction, and that is dreadful. But through all of it, he found all the positivity. And any other driver would be super negative in that moment. But for him to be as positive as he is, I'm always rooting for him. Good to see him out on the racetrack.
Absolutely. I hope he gets another opportunity. Sounds like he will in the truck, and maybe even further. Cool nugget, he is named after the former quarterback Donovan McNabb. True story. James, let's look and see how he'll do tonight. We're going short track racing. That means a special format.
That does mean a slightly different format. It is our heat format that you see in short track racing in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. What does that mean? Big setup qualifying, 2 heats and 25 laps that will set the inside and the outside rows of the starting grid for the future, which will cover 70 laps. So technically speaking, we get 120 laps of action, but the last 70 of that concentrated into the final race. And so sort of to that end, you have a little bit more room to race and make up for bad qualifying effort. But Ryan, I keep coming back to the idea of qualifying at a short track being so important because it's tough to pass here.
Absolutely. It is very difficult to set up a pass here. And while we're talking about the racetrack, let's take a look at the racetrack. Thanks to our friends at Logitech G for our track analysis. We're looking at Richmond Raceway. This place is 3/4 of a mile longer, 1.2 kilometers for those across the pond. The banking in the corners here is 14 degrees. This place opened in October of 1946 as a fairgrounds track. It was a little half-mile dirt oval and continuously grew and grew as the years went on. Last year's winner was Steven Wilson, and I'm going to be interested to see how he fares out tonight because, Alan, you talked a little bit about it in the pre-show. He's kind of a little bit of a slump, Alan. You had a bit of a point there.
Yeah, by his standards, Steven Wilson is on a slump. Didn't do great in Iowa. Nashville didn't go the way he wanted and needed a little bit of those craziness to get him a better finish at Indianapolis. But James, look, this is an interesting track. It can be hard to pass. What do you think of it?
I think this is an opportunity for someone to go get the segment points now that Wilson had that bad run at Nashville with the flat tire. I think it's an opportunity to give yourself an opportunity, if you can get to the playoffs, to give yourself a leg up. I know that sounds a bit complicated, but somebody needs to go out and take this opportunity this evening at Richmond.
Ryan, what do you think?
Man, we could sit here and talk about what's going to happen all we want, but at the end of the day, it's short track racing. There's going to be some bent fenders, there's going to be some crushed quarter panels, and there are going to be a lot of hurt feelings. All I know is I'm going to grab my popcorn, sit backstage, and watch all the action.
I think that's the best point. I know it can be a tough track, but this place has evolved over time. But with so much on the line, you almost have to guarantee there's going to be action because you have to make a move if it's not going to let it make it for you. We're going green. Short track racing. eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series goes green right after this.
Every journey toward racing excellence begins the same way, with preparation. Practice is about consistency, the same attention to detail. Today, the gap between the garage and the living room has never been smaller. Because mastery isn't about where you start, it's about where you train. Whether you're chasing trophies or lap times, the road to racing excellence starts with the same tools. Feel the road, own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals, available now on Amazon.
Here comes Zelensky. He's got power from the outside in turn one. Bobby Zelensky, 3-time winner.
Every single moment, caught up in the motion. Got no use for caution. Hope you're ready for a fight. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeating. Show up, complete, and repeat it. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeating. Show up, complete, and repeat it. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end.
The road to $500,000 takes on the action track for the penultimate race of the regular season. From the virtual Richmond Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 8 of the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. Well, not only is it a critical part of the year, but it's a track we are so familiar with. 17th time we'll be able to say let's go racing here at Richmond in series history, and we're happy that you're a part of it with us on the iRacing Esports Network. With Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, myself, Evan Pisoko, we're ready to rock and roll as every passing week gets us one step closer, KB, to a title decider, and how segment 3 wraps up may play a big factor in that.
And Evan, we have not had a short track in the final 2 races of the regular season since 2019. It's been a long time since we've had a short track this deep in the regular season, especially now with a shorter overall championship campaign, Alan. The drivers have been working hard, trying to stand out amongst the others. Last week it just showed us that Bobby Z was still going to be here to play, whether everyone likes it or not, and they've got to really stand out in this heat format tonight.
We saw Bobby Z win. We saw Steven Wilson falter. What I'm seeing is opportunity at a short track tonight where maybe it's hard to pass, but that means you can make your own opportunity, and you may have to if you want to be one of these playoff drivers.
Also going to be the last time we see the heat race format this season. We'll talk more about that in a minute, Kenneth, but let's look at the schedule. Tonight here in Richmond, 2 weeks from now on the high banks of Daytona. 2 weeks left until we know the 10 names that will fight for a championship.
And these 2 tracks in back-to-back succession is probably the most dramatic storyline we could ever put up at the end of a regular season. A short track where things get real close and intimate, and then Daytona where you're close at 190 miles an hour in a pack where anything could go wrong at any given moment. Nashville, like we talked about, probably the last normal track in the regular season until we get a bulk of intermediates in the playoffs and the finale at Homestead in Miami. So this one kind of stands out like a sore thumb. Drivers really have to anticipate what the chaos could bring. And we have this heat format as well. 25 laps in each of the heats. It was fixed setups in qualifying. Top 10 in each of the heat get 0.7. And it decides your starting position for the feature race at the very end. So that means it's important all the way throughout. Drivers have to be on point throughout the entire night, even when you'll get some curveballs along the way.
Points going to be paid out to the top 10 finishers in each of those heats, but full points not handed out till the end of the feature. There's a look at all of the different drivers that we'll be able to take a look behind the scenes with over the course of tonight's race. Single car qualifying already concluded, so half of those drivers going to be watching on as we get set to get tonight kicked off with heat race number 1. So the pole position for record stands with the driver who represents Tony Kanaan. It's the Kanaan Esports number 11, Vicente Salas on pole, and on the front row for Heat Race 1, joined to the outside by the FGRXL E-Racing 12, that is Ryan Luza. Row number 2, we'll see the Kansas City Pioneers number 24 of Casey Kerwin line up next to the Channel 199 Sim Racing 199 at Dylan Duval. Of course, that team, the one that involves the legendary Pro Sports and off-road racer Travis Pastrana. Row number 3, Latardi Sports. That's Steve Latart's team. It's Connor Urashak in the number 40 car, next to the Spire Motorsports 77 of Stephen Wilson in position number 6. And on row number 4, it's the BS Competition 99 of Garrett Lowe. Your segment 2 champ. He's next to the second of Tony Kanaan's cars. That's the 66 of Seb Marin in P8.
And on the inside of row number 5, starting from 9th, the 97 of Tucker Minter for the William Byron Esports Camp. The team, of course, owned by the Daytona 500 champion William Byron. And the ERA Esports team, the camp owned by NASCAR driver and service member Jesse Iwuji. Bobby Zelensky, the 3-time winner this season, starts in row 5 and 10th. Jordy Lopez for BS Plus competition in the 89 is 11th, with the other Kansas City Pioneer Chevrolet, the number 20 of Wyatt Tinsley, on the outside position. 13th will go to the Hayek Motorsports number 47 of Dylan Alt, with Jim Beaver Esports' number 15. Colin Kieser is inside, or rather outside of row 7 in 14th spot. Austin Dillon's Team Dillon Esports has the 3 of Blaze Crawford inside the top 15, and the other Jim Beaver Esports Ford Mustang Dark Horse, it's Nate Stewart in 16th spot.
2 more rows to round this one out. It's the second of those Pastrana-powered Channel 199 sim racing cars. That's the 86 of Blake Reynolds on the inside of row number 9. And to his outside, the number 16 for the Apex Racing team, it is Ryan Doucette. And on row number 10, it's his Apex teammate, the 98 of Cody Bias on the inside in 19th. P20 goes to the Team Dillon Esports, number 33 of Kenny Brady. Kenny with a little bit of work to do to make Team Boss Austin Dillon happy with what his result will be here tonight. So that's a look at your 20 drivers who will contest heat race number 1. The finishing order for this heat race, again, will pay out points to the drivers who finish inside of the top 10. It will also set the starting grid for the feature for all of the odd numbered starters. 1st, 3rd, 5th, and on. Let's talk with your pole sitter of record, Alan. He's got to try to hang on, though, if he wants to start up front in the feature. You've got Vicente.
Yeah, fast car for Vicente Salas, but Vicente, to keep it, you have to race for it. What kind of challenge is that at Richmond?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be tough here. We've got some really fast guys starting behind us, but would like to just give a huge shout out to everybody at Dead Zone Racing, Dave Siltman, Houston Hammer, Zach Novak, Jonathan Platt for being on my box, just everybody that supports this group, Miramar Financial, CFM Esports. I think we've got a really great car to contend tonight, and we did it about 5 years ago. We've done it multiple times, Phoenix last, so just got to do our thing and make sure we come home with it.
We're running out of opportunities to make the playoffs. Do you worry about the aggression of other drivers in this scenario?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we're all going to be just as equally aggressive, you know, so make sure to take advantage of situations when I can and, you know, probably do what I need to do to bring it home.
All right, Vicente Salas representing Tony Kanaan on the pole for this heat race.
Well, he alluded to it. It was some 5 years ago, April 13th, 2021, when Vicente got his first career win in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series right here at the virtual Richmond Raceway as a rookie. He would love to be able to do it again tonight, but again, you got to hang on to it, and that means surviving this 25-lap sprint. Caution flags, not an option. Barney didn't even bring the yellow flag up into the flag stand. Will this one get a little bit messy? Time will tell. Also, a couple of drivers having to start from pit lane due to penalties a week prior. That's going to be Wyatt Tinsley, Casey Kerwin starting from the pit lane. They will not really have an opportunity to catch up without yellows. Pace car down and in. Vicente Salas looks for the green. It is heat race number 1 in Richmond. Off and away we go. So lap number 1 goes to Salas. Battle is on for second. Luza, Duval doing action. The 99 of Garrett Lowe tried, or at least thought about some 3 wide early. Thought better of it. Ended up there anyways as Wilson struggled to get out of the blocks.
And you'll see, obviously, early on, a lot of drivers pointing to the inside of the racetrack. The yellow line is going to be your best friend, at least in the opening laps. But like Richmond last season, and ever since the refresh on the sim, Richmond has become a multi-groove racetrack. You can make the middle work. You can even go a little bit higher than that in the third lane and have enough momentum off the corner to be able to rally your way through. Plus, more horsepower, Alan, 750. So these tires lighting up in the early stages of this heat.
And Steven Wilson trying to use all of it in that 77 car on the outside. I think this is a big race for Steven Wilson. We talked about it earlier, but maybe something of a slump for Steven Wilson. I know by his standards that's tough to say, but he hasn't won in a few races. A tough start to this segment, and now he has to battle just for starting position here at Richmond, stuck here on the outside.
This is a racetrack that Wilson has found a lot of success at. Race winner here the last 2 years, both in 2025 and 2024. We talked a little bit about this last week when some drivers, can we possibly see somebody get 3 race wins in a row at the same racetrack? Wilson going to try to do that here at Richmond. On board with one of your Coca-Cola featured drivers, that is Blaze Crawford, who is up 2 spots from the start of this race. You can't see him, but kind of on his left rear quarter panel is the 5 and Nate Stewart. That's why he's staying up off of the yellow line down low. The 15, that's the car down low in front of him. Looks like Zelensky completing a pass on Keister in a battle for P11.
And we also saw Zelensky last season in his heat race, and even through the main feature, move up plenty of spots. He was very fast in different lanes all across the racetrack, and Blaze Crawford is certainly hoping that he does better in this heat to qualify better for the feature. He had to roll off 27th last season. He still got a top 10 after all things considered, but still, you really don't want to put yourself that far back and make yourself work harder for the feature. And that's why even last season and this year, as we've seen these first few laps, the mid-pack is going to be oh so crucial, because that's where everybody's the closest. That's where everybody's expanding the most in terms of lines for clean air. And like on this board with Colin Keister, this view of this pack in front, he sees bait right in front of him. He just needs to plan his move accordingly to make sure he gets in without incident.
That seems so frustrating, all those cars right in front of you. Seems like you just jumped right by them, but it's tough. You can see there's 3 lines of racing at times, everybody trying to find the perfect groove. Tucker Minter making it work out there in the William Byron number 97 car out there. See if he can complete this pass. Tucker Minter, another one of those drivers who is a decent position in points, but you never know with just 2 races to go. That's why all these positions really matter.
You saw Minter complete that pass, jumping back. This was 3 wide a bit ago, back to 2x2. Zelensky on the outside and Alt on the bottom as Bobby's trying to get himself inside of the top 10 for the first time since the grid after that outside lane. Didn't get the greatest of starts, dropped a couple spots. He's fighting to get it back. All of that going on just off of the deck lid. Marin is almost a touch there. Alt got tight off the corner. And I think he did get into the door of the 22 just a bit. No harm, no foul. They carry on. Seb Marin in the number 9 spot right now, hoping that 2x2 doesn't catch him. But Zelensky, another pass completed on the outside lane. The 15 to Keister looks like he's going to follow through. So the bottom proving to be difficult for the 47 Hayek Motorsport Chevy on the inside lane.
And one of the difference that we mentioned from this season and last season is the dynamic track model, how things have changed. You see that darkened line of about a darkish gray color on the line in the inside. That's all the rubber put in from practice and qualifying and the cars being on the track in the sessions before that is carried over. So in turn, when you rubber up that surface, it slickens out a little bit. It doesn't make it as fast. So in turn, the drivers do have to experiment a little more, move up a second lane. In the case of Blaze Crawford, going way up to the high side to find a way out of it. And the banking here at Richmond, you obviously have to be very careful as well. Only 2 degrees on the main back straightaway, so the rear tires easily can lift up off the ground. Turn 4 is where you're going to find probably the best exit on the high side to fend off those on the bottom. And that's what guys like Tucker Minter are doing well to be able to weave through traffic.
And I like the format here that we have on the short track format, because I think we're seeing a guy like Tucker Minter really experimenting. We see him going high in one corner and then dipping low onto that yellow line in the other, just trying to make it work. Maybe this helps him in the main. He's trying to figure out the best and most effective ways to get around. But remember, aggression matters here, because each one of these positions is the row you'll start in for the big events. So every pass means 1 row back that you have to worry about, and that's not where you want to be for the big show.
It's kind of like a 2-for-1 special. Each spot is worth 2 on the grid. Winner's going to get first, second place here will start third, so on and so forth. Overall, though, pretty impressed with what we've seen through the opening 15. Nothing too out of line. We've seen some close calls, and again, it's only half field. The complexion's certainly going to change when we talk about the feature, and we're out there with a full field of 40, but in this heat race, not that many fireworks going on on the racetrack as you look back off of Connor Urashak, who started this race in the number 5 spot, picked up 1. He rides in position number 4 at the time being. Really didn't make a pass for that. Kerwin was slated to start 3rd, had to start from the pit lane. He's way back in the number 19 spot. So it has been pretty uneventful, I'll say, for most of these drivers up at the front of the field, which I'm sure they are not going to complain about.
For sure, not going to complain about when you don't have cars breathing down your neck and a possibility to lose a ton of positions. And again, like we've been talking about how important it matters for track position in Richmond, where, again, notoriously been very hard to pass out with these next-gen cars. So it's kind of a war of qualifying, if you will, and then transferring into the heats. This is the second version of qualifying, and I love what I'm seeing out of the top 5 and the experimentation in lanes, especially from a team like BS Plus Competition and how those 2 drivers have done well. But this is almost, Evan, looking like a repeat of Heat 2 last year. If you remember, Salas absolutely floored and dominated the field in that heat to start on the outside of the front row. He's doing the very same here tonight. Just Ryan Lewis is keeping tabs with him quite well.
I like Luza, what he's been doing, maybe running with a kind of a chip on his shoulder. We know what happened in Indianapolis, and then last week probably had the save of the year, but still cost him a ton of track position. He's shown speed the last few weeks. It's just a matter of getting it done and getting to the checkered flag without controversy, without incident. This race, if you get a heat win or even a good starting position, could go a long way for the rest of the season, but it's been an eventful few weeks for Luza.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and again, with this short season, half-length regular season with only 9 weeks compared to what we've seen in the past, you just don't have the opportunities when you have a couple of weird races like that. The unfortunate result for him with the scoring at the end of Indianapolis, the regular season is just too short to be able to dig out of those challenges, and that's something that is new with the way that this 2026 calendar has been split in 2. And again, the max points on the line tonight, when you factor in the 10 for the heat race winner, means you can score more points here than any other race. Max points goes up to 50 instead of 40. So if you're looking for a big swing going to Daytona, now's your chance. That is not, though, what the number 3 wanted. Crawford backwards and into the outside fence. Again, we're going to carry on after that battle with he and the 15 car at Keister winner in turn 3.
And that's not going to feel good for Blaze Crawford at all. He had contact with his teammate. Kenny Brady was trying to get to the inside, and it was just a tough, tight 3-wide situation on the backstretch. But again, the show's going to go along, whether they like it or not. Crawford had a really good start to this heat, and now things have really looked sour, and it's going to start in a very deep start for this feature race later on. How about Sebastian Marin taking it 3 wide to the inside in turns 1 and 2. Garrett Lowe right through the middle. I like the move there from Sebastian. A little cheeky, pointing to the inside. Now he's got firepower from Bobby Zelensky right behind, and this whole group conglomerating right about 7th on back. This is in the heart of the mid-pack, Alan, so it's going to be even more fun to watch.
A final lap. The 2 corners are so unique about which groove you actually want for the advantage, but here comes Vicente Salas, Evan.
Cruise control so far. He was the best car in practice, the best car in qualifying, and he'll go 25 for 25 in heat race 1. Vicente Salas, 10 points. Count him up for your heat race 1 winner. Battle into the stripe behind him. Marin ends up ahead of Zelensky and Alt. And that thing started to get real interesting after about 20 laps. Just kind of make a mental note of that. If we've got a green flag stretch of that length in the feature, it was really starting to open up in the closing laps. Let's take a look at your Heat 1 full race results. So all these drivers scoring points. Vicente will start on pole for the feature, courtesy of that win for Tony Cadon and that team. It's a Toyota 123 with Ryan Luza coming home in second for FGRXL, and Travis Pastrana's group, the Channel 199 Sim Racing team, got Dylan Duval in third. Urashak, Wilson, your top 5 finishers. Jody Lopez, Tucker Minter, Garrett Lowe, Sebastian Marin, and Bobby Zelensky, your top 10.
Rest of the field that miss out on the points for heat number 1, Dylan Alt, Blake Reynolds, Cody Bias, Kenny Brady, and then those that, for the most part, were either involved in an incident late or had to start on pit road. That includes Colin Keister involved in the crash, Kerwin and Tinsley involved in pit starts, and Blaze Crawford being the last driver out of the 20 in heat number 1 with the crash in the final 5 laps.
Well, we heard from him not that long ago, Kenneth. Now let's get your thoughts down with your heat race 1 winner, Vicente Salas.
Vicente, this almost looked like a complete repeat of Heat 2 last year. You dominated the heat. You started on the outside of the front row, had a good race then. Richmond overall has been very kind to you. How confident does the boost of points and the win in Heat 2, or Heat 1 rather, make in for the feature?
I mean, it's a big deal for sure. I think we hit our marks there. We were really consistent, but we just kind of got to regroup and learn from it and go do it even better in the main. So we'll stay locked in here, learn from Heat 2, see what the track does, and be ready for the main event.
This track got refreshed a little while ago on the sim, and it definitely looked like it changed with the dynamic track. I know you were out in clean air, so you didn't get to experiment that much, but what did you feel behind the wheel that maybe could play in feature time when it rubbers in and you've got 40 drivers out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think with more laps on the track and more rubber, that it's definitely going to move around a little bit more. I mean, we moved up about a lane and a half there, so wouldn't be surprised if we moved up even higher than that. Wouldn't be surprised if we moved down, but it's just all going to come in due time, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, a good one in Heat 1 certainly was a good sight. Pole sitter for the feature, Vicente. Congratulations.
Well, with that, we move on in the program. Heat race number 1 done. Heat race number 2 coming up next. So all of these drivers qualified in the even number positions in single car qualifying. That's 2nd, 4th, 6th, and onward. And they will be racing for those exact same spots in the feature. So second best overall in Q means pole for heat race number 2 for the Hayek Motorsports number 50 of Quentin Warman. He's going to start alongside the ERA Esports team number 34 of Michael Cozy Jr., Jesse Wuji and crew watching on. Then it's the Landon Castle Parker Klickerman co-owned E-Racer 60 Data Seth Knoll, who starts 3rd tonight. They're next to the Williams F1 Team Gaming Radani 5 machine of Parker White, who starts in 4th. Row number 3, it's those unmistakable pink colors on the 55 machine for Rick Ware tonight for Daniel Falkenham. Out of the outside, it's the RFK Racing number 6 of Dylan Basin. In that car, Castrol on the car is always looking like a Brad Keselowski Cup Series machine. Row number 4, it's his teammate, the 17 of RFK Racing, it's Sean Conklin. And to the outside of row 4, the FGRXL E-Racing 14 of Seth DeMerchant.
Final 2 drivers in the top 10 include the inside with the Spire Motorsports number 7 of Femi Olatunbosin, 7 points shy of the playoff cut line entering tonight's race. And Jake Nichols for the TC Esports Group, a team owned by Belgian goalkeeper and a winner of the best goalkeeper in FIFA in 2018. That's Jake Nichols or Thibaut Courtois Esports for the 73. Michael Guest for the Vegas Inferno Camp is 11th. The William Byron Esports number 25 of Christopher Hills on the outside in his sophomore season. With the Junior Motorsports Malik Ray, number 88 Chevrolet, team owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. With the teammate on the outside, Zach Novak led 54 laps in this feature race last season. He starts in 14th with the Letarte Esports number 36 of Thomas Lloyd and Matthew Morton, the other TC Esports Camry, in 16th.
Final page, you'll see the second of the Rick Ware cars in this heat race. That's the number 51 of Garrett Means, who starts in 17th position. The second of the E-Racer entries, the 42 of Logan Helpin, with some work to do to get to his teammate, who starts in 18th. And on row number 10, it is the Vegas Inferno 01 of Tommy Gossett starting 19th, and the Williams F1 Team Gaming number 4 of Donovan Strauss, who rolls from the number 20 spot. That's a look at how they all line up for heat race number 2. The number 6 of Dylan Basin will be required to start from the pit lane for this heat race. And again, with no yellows, no opportunity to catch up to the field, likely going to have a very poor starting position for the feature, despite being a top 12 car in single car qualifying. So that's going to be something, KB, that I think will be interesting to look forward to. He, Casey Kerwin, and the others in that same boat going to really have to try to take advantage of the 75-lap features later on, because I just don't see them getting anything here.
Yeah, and you fall so behind here at Richmond. I mean, this track is only 3/4 of a mile, so you're looking at probably already getting lapped to near being a full lap down on the opening lap of the race. So you do have to be very careful. However, driver sitting pretty on the front row. Quentin Warman on the pole for this heat. Alan, you've got him.
Yeah, Quentin Warman, it's been a good few weeks, a positive last few weeks, and it's continuing now. What is the challenge tonight here at the short track, Quentin?
Just to not have any hiccups on the start and just manage the tires. With the hot track temp, this track really eats at the tires, so tire management is probably going to be the #1 priority.
Yeah, and this is a huge opportunity to pick up points right now. You need every one of them you can get. It's still doable to make the playoffs. Is that in the back of your mind as you try to win this heat?
Yeah, that's definitely in the back of my mind, but I know it's still kind of a long shot, but I'm going to try and maximize points here and hopefully move up close to the top 10. I don't think I'd be able to move into the top 10 from where I'm at, but I think I can get really close if I get max points in this race. That's going to be the goal.
Hey, Baby steps, Quentin. If you get the checkered flag ultimately tonight, you don't have to worry about those points, but it starts right now.
10 points could be a big deal. He comes into tonight 16th in the playoff standings. This is unscientific because, yes, other drivers can score points, but 10 points for a heat race win, that would, in theory, put him as high as 12th. Huge jump just with the points available on the line in this heat race, and then we go for it for all the points later on. So this is a pivotal moment in the season for Quentin Warman, and it's the final heat race of the afternoon. Warman, Cozy on the front row, 25 laps on deck, green flag in the air. Quickly fanning 3 and 4 wide. Cozy way up and out of the groove down into turn number 3. He's going to give away a ton of time as they were 3 wide navigating around beneath him. So Warman is the leader. Battle for second is Noel and Parker White off at 2.
Quite uncharacteristic out of Cozy Jr. to be all the way on the outside and just giving away all that time. He's still a few car lengths behind the last driver in the group, which right now is Tommy Gossett. So we'll see what happens for the 34 car. He just hit pit road. So as of right now, we'll continue to eye that situation for Cozy. And a beautiful start for Seth Noel, diving the inside of Parker White. Fight for second, I think, is the best thing that Quentin Warman wants to see so he can pull away.
Yeah, and you can see it here. What a great start here for Noel and the great start for Quentin Warman. Evan, just talking about the point situation. Remember, Casey Kerwin on the bubble had a tough first heat, right? Had to start in the back. So someone like Warman, other drivers getting all these points maybe in the second heat, that's a jump there already as Noel falls to third, but a good start for the driver out of Richmond, Virginia. Kind of a home race.
And he'll take the quick points for sure. And Seth trying to use that preferred outside lane to shake off a challenge by Daniel Falkingham, which is going to be successful. Your top 5 single file out. Once that happened in heat race number 1, we really didn't see anything else up for grabs that far up the scoring pylon. So we jump back to see Zach Novak engaged in combat with Jake Nichols. That's for about 7th position on back. You've got the 25 of Christopher Hill in the mix. Number 7 of Femiola, Timbosin, and more. Hill, Femiola. We also talked to Parker White. Some of those drivers all still in the quarterfinals of the William Byron Esports Bracket Challenge. I know that's not front of mind, but that's something else we'll be watching when we get to the feature race and see who are going to be the final 4 drivers in that moving on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we haven't talked about it over the last few weeks, but Daytona's going to be the big shakeup in the final. But to have that quarterfinal there with the William Byron Esports Bracket Challenge, I think it's on the mind of some drivers, but especially for Femiola Timbosin, it's playoffs. He's right now just 1 spot shy of getting 1 point in this heat. Remember, he is right on the line for the playoffs with Casey Kerwin, and knowing how Kerwin had his pit start in heat number 1, how it didn't work out too well for him because of that, Femi has to pounce here. He knows there are a bunch of cars that are worthy points right here in this heat alone, so he can close in that gap, even if it's by a little bit. So I got to keep my eye on that black and white number 7 car to try and make a charge to the front.
That's why I like this format. It creates that anticipation. It creates that urgency because you can score points here, and you already know some of the situation that Casey Kerwin is in. So every one of these positions can matter, even in a sprint heat race, knowing the opportunities you have ahead of you.
Watching the 17 of Sean Conklin going under Seth Merchant. It's been tricky for drivers to complete passes on the bottom. Going to be unsuccessful there. We'll see if he tries again in that Kroger Ford. Also a note on Michael Cozy Jr. We saw that car get passed in turns 3 and 4 and then come to the pit lane. There was a black flag penalty issued to that car. We're hypothesizing that it's a black flag for a false start at the beginning. He did beat the control car, the lead car, Quentin Warman, to the start-finish line. Unable to confirm it 110%, but we can tell you he definitely beat him to the exit of the box. That's typically going to be what decides that 99% of the time. Wow. So we believe that is why Cozy seemingly got out of the way, is he had a penalty forcing him to pit road, did not want to try to pit in front of the field, dropped to the back, served his penalty. He is back on the racetrack, but it is 1 lap down and in position number 20.
That's such a small difference in car width between Cozy in the front and Warman on the bottom. And this looks exactly like Jordi Lopez in Heat 1 last season. He started on the front row, he jumped the start, got the penalty on the opening lap, and immediately had to come down pit road. And we saw how that worked out for him in the feature, where you start so far back in the field. And with that race that had gone green for the most part, he suffered the consequences just by being back there because of that penalty. So it's going to hit Cozy pretty hard here for the rest of this heat, knowing that for the feature he's going to have to work hard and hope that there's chaos around him, not involving him, so he can gain a few more spots.
Yeah, well, a little wiggle there here in the back of the field, but you speak of it, Kenneth. I mean, a costly penalty always, but it feels like a double costly penalty, right? Because you now are buried once the feature starts. It's hard to dig your way out of any of the penalty position you put yourself in here in this race. But, you know, tough racing back here. Here's Daniel Falkingham just trying to keep an eye on the leader as he goes for third place over Seth Knoll.
You see the eNASCAR College iRacing Series hardware in the background. Another one of our drivers who competes all across the different ranks and disciplines in the world of eNASCAR, and somebody who I think is really aiming to take advantage of the good Q effort and the track position that he has. The 17 to Conklin again going to try to make the pass underneath the Beefcakes Toyota hit to his outside of DeMerchant. It's just that outside gets the run off. That's going to make it that much more difficult. I think Conklin definitely's got the better car right now, but the 14 knows it's going to be hard for him to pass on the bottom. So keep an eye. If they stay side by side, does the Aiden Novak creep into the conversation? Michael Guest, Jake Nichols, handful of cars not that far back, getting a great view of this ongoing battle for P5.
Oh, remember, Evan, what Vicente Salas said after winning the first heat, that over the course of even the feature race, they may move back down to the bottom. If they get enough cars on the half lane up, the full lane up on the outside, that also is going to rubber down and slicken up. So then you have to start searching more for grip, and maybe that inside is going to be the better position. So Conklin is very patient right now, and those drivers on the bottom are just hoping that the laps ticking down is going to be enough to give them some spots. And again, more fireworks at the back of this pack. Thomas Lloyd under fire, Tommy Gossett right in front, and the 42 of Logan Helton on the inside. This is not for points at all, but this is just for a better starting position. And for the seasons that a lot of these drivers have had over the year, they'll take anything they can get. And that's meaning doing anything possible in this heat at the end.
Yeah, and you can see it, Thomas Lloyd struggling there in that 36 car. He was on X earlier today saying, we don't feel very good, we don't seem very good. And that's coming to fruition here in this heat race. Has a lot of work to do in the feature. Just in front of them, still jockeying for position, that's Femi, keeping it high on the high side, trying to keep his position against Donovan Strauss. Good battle there, but as they battle, the cars in front of them just seem to drive away, Evan.
Yeah, the inside certainly looks like a more viable option already than what we saw early in Heat Race 1, and that's important to note that the track conditions, just like in real life, if we ran heats back-to-back, the track conditions for Heat 2 going to be different than they were at the start of Heat 1, as this track continues to get rubber put down and that groove continues to widen, maybe back out down to the yellow line. So that very clearly, I think, aiding these cars on the bottom, because it would seem nearly impossible in the opening 20 laps of Heat Race 1 to make that happen. And now those preferred grooves may be working its way down because this track different, and we're going to see that continue to carry over as we head towards the feature. Inside of 5 laps to go, a couple of battles still going on throughout the field. This one you're looking at is DeMerchant and Novak for P6.
And Conklin, remember, got around DeMerchant after spending a bulk of that run on the inside. This car is on rails in the later portions of heat number 2. Now on the inside of Daniel Falkingham. This is going to be for position in the top 4. And what a night for Sean Conklin just last week at Nashville Superspeedway. A career best third for the driver of the 17, who's already very much pulling away with the Rookie of the Year standings title. But right now, Alan, in a place for a playoff spot, it's very important for Sean to continue to elevate on each and every week, and he's doing so right now in this heat.
And still digging for more here in this heat. But you mentioned as a rookie, it's about getting those finishes, right? And Dylan Basin, his teammate, put on the show last week in Nashville, but ultimately it's Conklin who gets the best finish, who gets the career best finish. As we get 1 to go, Conklin's still digging for more, but Quentin Mormon looking to go flag to flag in a race in time and points that he really needs.
It is going to be a big 10-point pickup for a driver who right now, I think we can say, is going to be sitting on the fringe with this result. 10 championship points will go to Quentin Warman, Heat 2 winner here in Richmond. looking for maybe some dives to the stripe. It was Christopher Hill and Strauss side by side, but outside of the top 10, and that will affect grid position in the 20s when it comes to the feature race later on. But let's take a look at your point scores. Quentin Warman goes flag to flag for the heat race number 2 win. The Hayek Motorsports number 50 get to be on the outside of the front row for the feature. Parker White comes home in second. He'll start fourth for the main event. Seth Knoll is the highest finishing rookie in third for E-Racer. Daniel Falkenham comes home at fourth with Sean Conklin in the number 5 spot. And then Novak, DeMerchant, Guest, Nichols, Maines, your top 10.
And the drivers that missed points, most importantly, Femi Olad, who was in that battle with Casey Kerwin for the last playoff spot on points. Donovan Strauss behind him in 12th, Christopher Hill, Tommy Gossett, and Matthew Morton, the last drivers in the top 15, with Malik Ray, Logan Helton, Thomas Lloyd, Dylan Basin, who had to start from the pit lane, and Michael Cozy Jr., who got penalized on lap 1.
So 2 heats down, 2 winners from pole. Let's hear from your heat race number 2 winner. It's Quentin Warman.
Quentin, smooth in sailing there in heat number 2. What did you learn over the course of the heat, and how does the car feel overall as you jump into the feature now?
Car feels good. I think the main thing to take away from the heats is that the line's going to move around a lot. You're going to be searching for grip all around the track. You can't just stick to one line. But I think the difference between the heat and the feature is we're just going to have to manage the tires a lot better and hopefully be there at the end if it goes green.
So now starting on the outside of the front row, the entire field behind you. You dealt with 19 other cars in this heat, now 39 other in the main race. What do you expect? Chaos, and how do you plan out the first lap?
I expect a little bit of chaos, but it's tricky because there's some tracks where everyone expects chaos and it goes green, but I honestly expect it to be pretty clean on the start. I think if there's going to be a yellow, it's going to be either at the very end of the race or at the very beginning, but on the start, we're just going to try and take what we can get and just try and keep the track position we got.
Well, clean and dominant heat number 2. Quentin, congratulations on the heat win, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you, guys.
Quentin Warman, Evan, on the outside of the front row for the feature race tonight.
Coverage of tonight's race is brought to you, as always, by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of eNASCAR. And by NASCAR 26. NASCAR's official video game launching September 18th is available now for pre-order on the Xbox Store, PlayStation Store, and Steam. Both heat races have come and gone here at the virtual Richmond Raceway, and we are ready to say let's go racing for maximum points on the line as the feature race and the penultimate race of the regular season is ready to go. So let's go trackside, introduce you to your Coca-Cola starting grid. Heat Race 1 winner, the Canaan Esports number 11 of Vicente Salas will start from pole position, and your Heat Race 2 winner, the Hayek Motorsports 50 of Quentin Warman, will start in second. The FGRX LE Racing number 12, Orion Luzes, starts third tonight, and Parker White takes the Williams F1 Team Gaming number 95 off the grid in fourth. Row number 3, the P5 starter tonight, it's the Channel 199 Sim Racing entry of Dylan Duval, and the E-Racer 69 is Seth Knoll to the outside in the number 6 position. Behind them, Steve Letarte watching on as his Letarte Esports number 40 of Connor Yurishak's got a great starting spot, P7, next to the Rickware Racing 55 at Daniel Falkenham in 8th.
Just inside of the top 10 on the inside of row number 5 is the 2-time winner here at Richmond Raceway, Steven Wilson for Spire Motorsports, with the RFK Racing number 17 of Sean Conklin, based on the real-life Roush Fenway Keselowski team in the NASCAR Cup Series. Jordy Lopez for BS Plus Competition in the 89 is 11th to start this one with the Junior Motorsports number 8, the famous number by Dale Earnhardt Jr. It's Zach Novak behind the wheel of this Chevrolet on the outside in 12th position. William Byron and his esports team go green here with Tucker Minter in the 97, a hometown driver from Warrenton on the inside of row 7 with the FJR XL eRacing number 14 of Seth the Merchant on the outside. 15th will go to the BS Plus Competition number 99 of Garrett Lowe, and the Vegas Inferno number 21 of Michael Guest caps off the top 16.
Row number 9, you'll find your qualifying series champion Sebastian Barron, and the Tony Kadan entered number 66 car starting from 17th position. He is next to that TC Esports 73 of Jake Nichols. A lot of sporting pedigree amongst those two team owners on row number 9. Row 10, it's the ERA Esports team 22 of Bobby Zelensky, and the Rick Ware Racing number 50 with a Garrett Means P20. That brings us halfway. Row number 11, you'll find the Hayek Motorsports 47 of Dylan Alt starting 21st, and next to him in 22nd, it's the Spire Motorsports number 7 of Femi Olatunbosin. And on row number 12, it is the Channel 199 Sim Racing 86 of Blake Reynolds. That team headed up, of course, by Travis Pastrana. Next to the Williams F1 Team Gaming number 4, that's Donovan Strauss rolling tonight from P24.
Take a look at row 13, where the inside is occupied by the Apex Racing number 98 of Cody Bias, the William Byron Esports number 25 of Christopher Hills on the outside row. Team Dillon Esports is Kenny Brady in the 33 is 27th. The team owner Austin Dillon hopefully watching tonight, with the other Vegas Inferno driver, the 01, the rookie Tommy Gossett in 28th. The other Apex Racing Chevrolet is here in 29th with Ryan Doucette in the 16, and the other end of the TC Esports camp, the 35 of Matthew Morden, caps off tonight's top 30. Jim Beaver Esports' Nate Stewart is 31st, and on the outside of him, the other Dale Jr. Motorsports number 88 car, it's Malik Ray, 32nd.
Continuing on through your final group of drivers, 33rd tonight on the grid. It belongs to the number 15 machine of Colin Keister for Jim Beaver Esports. And to the outside, 34th on the grid, it's the E-Racer 42 of Logan Helton. Of course, that's the Parker Kligerman Landon Castle co-owned initiative. Row number 18, it's the Kansas City Pioneers 24, Casey Kerwin, who starts 35th. And Steve Letarte will watch his number 36, Thomas Lloyd, roll from P36. Row 19, all drivers who had issues or penalties in their heat races. You'll find the Kansas City Pioneers 20 Wyatt Tinsley lined up right behind his teammate. And the second of the Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing cars, that's Dylan Basin in 38th. In row 20, the Team Dillon Esports number 3 of Blaze Crawford looking for some Richmond magic in that Austin Dillon number 3 car. He's next to the ERA Esports team 34 of Michael Cozy Jr. Team boss Jesse Wuji hoping that car can rebound from 40th. It was a top 4 car in single car qualifying, but a black flag penalty in his heat race has Cozy way towards the rear. So the heat races have come and gone. We're coming to the green this time by Kenneth as we look at our Coca-Cola race analysis.
70 laps here in this feature. Obviously not going to be a strategy race other than tires. You can make it all the way on fuel. This distance just a little over 50 miles tops. 3 sets available for the drivers, so tire strategy will matter if we do get yellows. But of course, it's all about the lines differing in rubber and who can stand out in a chaotic, usual Richmond race. We'll see how this one goes.
There are 2 races left to go before the playoffs. Let's see what Richmond has got in store. Vicente Salas in control. Let's go racing in Richmond. Already some 3 and 4 wide. It was Yurashak who looked to the bottom in turn 1, and it almost made a huge mess down the back straightaway. 3 by 3. 4 rows deep, call it off at turn 4, but it's all behind Salas, who's got the race lead.
It's almost why, for some drivers, Evan, they prefer to be in heat number 1 other than heat 2. When you get such a good initial or good restart, you can dive to the inside, force the driver in front to flinch, make the move up top, and take position on the inside. Euroshak with a very gutsy move to the inside, still 3 wide in the mid-pack, low in the middle of the first row. Contact with Minter as they head to turn 1, 4 wide in the middle of the pack.
4 wide coming off the corner. We're seeing the best of short track racing here. What looks like an opening closes really quick as we go 4 wide again. Bobby Z on the bottom there trying to get 3 cars in one corner. Got to get him early as we see more contact heading down into 1.
Thought maybe they'd finally use the front straight to sort it out, and Garrett Mays kept instigating, trying to go to the bottom. There it goes. Zelensky gets turned. Is it going to go all the way around, though? He got pointed back straight. The car will come to a near complete stop, and there is the caution. Thought it was almost a guarantee off of 2. It was going to be a big mess, and almost went through all of that without a yellow until Zelensky's car was too slow in turn 3.
And I almost think that was on purpose from Bobby Zelensky. He knew that there was probably not going to be a yellow thrown. He had to be the car to create the yellow to save himself the points. Again, he's a driver that's locked into the playoffs. Alan, we know his situation is good, but you don't want to have a bad race like this so close to the end of the regular season. And when you're 4 wide in the middle of turn 1, I don't know what else you can do, but it just comes to a close there off the second corner, and there's the contact.
Oh, tough coming off the corner, turning in front of everybody, and maybe some strategy here by Bobby Zelensky to slow down more than he should have, but some good evasive moves by the rest of the field behind him. You know, sometimes you're in victory lane, sometimes you're the first caution. It's been a heck of a stretch for Bobby Z the last 7 days.
You almost wonder if, we got away with 4 wide so often. I almost wonder if that Rick Ware car on the bottom was almost kind of following Bobby up. Bobby wasn't clear either. He got hit in the right rear, but just kind of, you're in line behind somebody, you kind of fall into a trance of following them off of the corner, and you just had too many cars to the outside. They come together. And again, I don't think there's any shock that it happened with that group of race cars because they were the ones who were 4 wide. I'm just a little bit surprised it happened when they were only 3 wide at that moment in time. Both of the heat races, of course, no yellows. They were disabled. We would have gotten through, I think, the entirety of heat race number 1 without one anyways, because that race was pretty clean. But we said you're going to double up the car count. You're going to get to the feature. This race is going to have a different complexion, and there is no surprise there that we are slowing things down for the first time inside of the opening 10.
And this series just continues to elevate again. The stakes are high, the pressure's high when there are only a few races to go and a super speedway next before the playoffs begin. And for those that want to know about the world of eNASCAR and all the updates of the drivers, the teams, and this series as it continues to unfold through the year, iRacing.com/eNASCAR. I've had a kick looking at the website over the last few weeks about how things have changed in the point standings, Evan, and obviously the way that this cut line battle has worked out with Kerwin now starting at the very back, Olatunbosin, who started 18th. They're very far from each other right now. Things can also still get very close with Warman winning his respective heat and getting the points necessary to make it close.
It's a necessity this time of the year to make that your homepage because that's what I've got so I can keep up to date with everything, try to figure out what these playoff scenarios are. And again, a lot of that's going to come more into focus after tonight, magic numbers 40, in terms of can you realistically point your way in to the playoffs with only 1 race remaining. So quick caution going to come and go. It'll be a restart with 62 laps left, and the first time Salas is a control car. He'll decide when we go back green to the restart zone. It's a fantastic jump for the 11 Toyota. He's got 2 car lengths, and here comes the 50 of Quentin Warman trying to get clear of Luza in the battle for second as the iRacing drone will chase them off at turn 2.
And they want to find a way to have this run, at least for the most part, go semi-green. There's Garrett Mays diving to the inside of Sebastian Marin with Donovan Strauss right behind, making a move underneath, and just went over the radio, I think, to apologize for any contact in the middle of the corner. But they want this run to go at least a little longer, Alan. They know the dynamic track model changes, and Heat 1 and 2 showed us how far they can expand in terms of line. So they're going to try to do that here as they're still 3 wide.
Yeah, they want this green flag run to go, but this is where you can make up all the position, right? This is where the opportunity is on these restarts, and we continue to see what looks like an opportunity, and the door closed so quick as you get into the corner. That's what's really creating some of this consternation between these drivers as Warman and Luza continue to battle. Meanwhile, Vicente Salas loving what he's seeing because it's 2 by 2 behind him.
Almost a running blocker for the battle for second position on back. Luza going to try to clear Warman this time off of 2. I think he's got a good shot at it, and he will clear for second. So the 50 Warman slides back into third. Battle for fourth between Duval and White, the next closest thing. But look at this. 2 wide, 3 wide, anywhere you look. And there's a couple reasons why that opportunity's there on these restarts. Look how far off of the bottom of the racetrack they are. You kind of hug that exterior wall as you come around the front stretch. The bottom is wide open, almost begging for somebody to dive bomb it in there because you got 3.5 lanes. The problem is, well, as soon as you stick the nose in there, everybody's coming back down to the yellow line. That's where things get sketchy. We saw a huge move from Urashak a couple laps ago. We'll see just how long into a run these drivers can continue to make those big moves and keep forcing those 3 wide battles.
And also, Evan, because Richmond on the front straightaway isn't actually a straightaway, it's an old curve. You're still turning when you come off of turn number 4 until you turn on a tighter radius to turn number 1. So when you use the outside, you can use that longer way around and plant the throttle a little earlier, get a good run off the corner. And many a time we'll see a driver shoot up from the top off of turn 4 and then sling to the bottom when they have the arc on the car right in front of them and use that inside space. So you can see Blaze Crawford didn't even have to use the inside in 1 and 2. Just sling it up top, use the momentum where the grip is there in this early run and take advantage, especially those that got penalized or, like in the case of Crawford, crashed in his respective heat and is desperate to regain any amount of control early in the feature.
Seems like things have calmed down just a little bit. Only 2 wide racing, not as much of the 3 wide as we were seeing. But Seth Knoll taking in the 69 car there up on the high side in every one of these corners. Not sure if handling is going away or just having a tough struggle getting around, but not going the best direction as we saw him do pretty well in the heats, but not translating over here to the big show as they're trying to battle it out in the back of the field, midfield right now.
Looking off of the back of the driver in 11th position right now, Jordi Lopez, somebody else who comes into tonight as one of the mobile drivers, 12th at a point, 17 out of a playoff spot at the start of this evening. Got a P6 in his heat race that netted him some points. He really would love to get a top 10 to make this thing a fight when we head to Daytona in 2 weeks' time, working on the bottom of Sean Conklin, who was one of the most impressive cars at about this point in his heat race. 20 laps in was one of the better ones. Of course, we have had a yellow, but keep an eye. That red 17 just looked a lot better than some of the cars around him the longer into that run we went. We'll see if he can keep that pace or if other drivers learned based on where he bested them later in that one. So 2 by 2. This is just at the tail end of the top 10. Closing in now and working for your leaders. Lap number 20 of 70 in this feature.
And we mentioned Jordi Lopez, a driver who finished 14th back in 2024, but he's riding off of 3 consecutive top 10s this year. I mean, the late season push for Jordi to get into the playoffs has been really up there. His teammate is already in the playoffs by winning Iowa and Garrett Lowe. So Jordi wants to make sure he makes BS Plus competition a 2-man effort once the playoffs begin for only 10 drivers. Oh, Conklin getting into the rear end of Seth Knoll, the chrome bumper there in turns 1 and 2. Speaking of drivers with also good starts, Seth Knoll for E-Racer had a great heat race, calm and composed, and doing well to hold on to top 10 in the feature.
This is the hornet's nest of the field right now. At the front of this picture, we see Casey Kerwin. Casey Kerwin, who started well in the back of the field, has made up a bunch of positions already as he had a lot of work to do, but he's getting it done. That's what he needs, right? He came in as the driver on the bubble in points. Quentin Warman, as we've talked about already, picked up 10 on Casey Kerwin. So Kerwin had a lot of work to do, just 23 laps in for him to move up as far as he has. Plenty of racing and time left for him.
And Casey was one of 3 drivers with a lane change violation from the week prior, which forced them to start from pit road in this format, meaning he had to start from the pit lane for his heat race. So even though Casey was the 5th best car in qualifying, he ends up with an 18th in his heat race. He starts 35th for the feature. He's already up 13 positions. Should not surprise anybody. That is one of the biggest movers in this race. It's going to be interesting to watch him all night. What does a top 5 car on speed have when he has to start from the rear? The other guy to look for, Michael Cozy Jr., similar circumstance. He started with the number 4 spot in single car qualifying, black flagged in his heat, started 40th on the grid, He's up to P31, also making some headway, but another car, top 5 on speed, doesn't have the track position. Those are going to be 2 names that we should watch all race long to see just what they can get out of this. I think KB just unfortunate for them. If this is a normal race, we're talking about more than 70 laps to try to make up that time. It happens to happen under this format, so they have even less opportunity to try to dig out of that hole.
Yeah, these laps at Richmond go by in a blur, so it takes maybe a few seconds. It feels like behind the wheel to complete a lap here at Richmond, and when you only have 70, it almost thinks like a longer race, but then you actually do it, and if it goes all the way green, you're looking at a really, really short affair. So yeah, I think for Kerwin and for Cozy Jr., they have to work really hard, but I think this is the great thing about this run, guys, is that we only had 25-lap heat races, and we saw even on the long run how drivers moved around the track and which of those were better when the run got into the 15-lap marker, the 20-lap marker. So I'd be curious to see whether Kerwin or Cozy, who couldn't show their outright pace in the heats, if they have a long run setup car to be able to weave their way forward. Oh, Jordi Lopez inside 3 wide on Steven Wilson.
Yeah, Steven Wilson trying to get the best of Jordi on the outside of him there. But as you mentioned, look, we're 28 laps in. I know we had the caution, but we're about to get to the point that we haven't seen yet, right, in the race. In the 2 25-lap heat races, those were quick, those were over. Now we're going to see how these cars start handling after a long run, 30-plus laps, and see how everyone is able to maintain. And without cautions, right, without these opportunities to come in and put new tires on, fix setup, can't really do much about your handling. It's going to be a battle if your car is not doing well and you are stuck back in the field. Especially, we're going to learn a lot more in the next few laps.
Something else I've been watching, and it's near that battle for 9th on the bottom of your screen. He's not up there now, but it's that black, purple, and white 69 machinist Seth Knoll. We talked in Heat Race 2 about maybe that groove actually coming back down to the bottom. Seemed like top was where you wanted to be in Heat Race 1, moving a little bit down. I've seen him way up on the fence a couple times in turns 1 and 2 in this one. 14 degrees to bank it here at Richmond. We did not see anybody way up there at all in the earlier races, and Steven Wilson's giving it a shot right now in the 77, but kind of at a necessity because he's in a 3-wide battle. But Seth has been willingly going up there on times. You see, even gets a touch of the fence that time, but might be enough in the end to clear the 55. So just keep that in mind as these drivers trying to find some new opportunities as we work deeper into the run we've been at any point tonight. Not missing anything up at the front of the field. Vicente Salas continuing to pull away 1.1 seconds over Ryan Luza, who has continued to settle into the number 2 position. Quinton Warman sits in 3rd, Dylan Duval in 4th, Parker White in the number 5 position. And that takes you right back here to really what's the battle for 6th position on back. Zach Novak wants to be a part of it. He's somebody else who has picked up a handful of spots. He is 4 in the green. Right now working on the bottom in the tire tracks of Wilson.
And it's a big race for Wilson just because by his standards, Evan, he hasn't had the best few weeks, right? I mean, Iowa, place he had won, he kind of faded in that race. Indianapolis, all the stuff at the end kind of gave him a better finish than he had been running throughout the night. And then last week at Nashville had all sorts of issues that ended up with a vicious crash in the wall and setting up a chaos at the end for everybody else, including him. He's won this race twice here at Richmond, currently sitting in 7th. And nothing to worry about in terms of making the playoffs or defending his title, what have you. It's just you want to see the momentum turn around for the 77 of Steven Wilson, because we haven't seen him on a streak like this maybe ever in his young career, despite him being a multi-time champion and one of the best already in the series history. In a bit of a slump by his standards.
Well, that's a good point you make up, Alan, as well, because when we looked at the playoff standings, I mean, Bobby Zelensky has a tiebreaker right now. They're technically tied on playoff points, but because Bobby has the most wins out of the two, he has that edge. So with Steven Wilson not having a great start to the segment, Bobby winning last week in Nashville, I mean, that tells you, again, how big of a difference it could make when we come playoff time. 5 bonus points is a lot when you have a very short playoff field and a very short playoff format at only 3 races. So I think for Wilson, he needs to get back tonight, and he's doing well so far in the top 10.
And And just like that, guys, already past halfway home in this feature race. We're starting to count down. 33 laps left to go in the feature race here from Richmond. Ryan Luza is in the number 2 spot. It's a familiar face. He was chasing down Vicente Salas in heat race number 1. Wasn't able to really keep the 11 in touch. Vicente pulled out to about a second for an advantage. And we're seeing the same thing right now. Vicente enjoying the benefits of a 1.2 second advantage. He's very happy that he's clear of this mess. I mean, this all continues to go on in the midfield. There's a moment there. Maines getting moved out of the way into turn number 1 after he had a little bit of assistance courtesy of the 99 machine of Garrett Lowe. It's mid-20s, and it looks like they just had a restart a lap ago the way they're going.
And look who's right in the middle of this thing, the red, white, and blue ERA Esports Chevrolet of Michael Cozy Jr. and his teammate, Bobby Zelensky. So the driver who started 40th, and Zelensky, who's been kind of strong through the heats but hasn't been here that much after being involved in the incident early on. They're slowly trying to regain track position. I don't think I even want to be close to any of this if I'm anyone, but if you're forced in it, you have to do what you can. And again, these are for positions in the back end of the top 30, but they got to do what they can and hope for a yellow to break free.
Absolutely. Every lap that passes is one less opportunity as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. Can't stress that enough. This short regular season is just flying by. We only have 30 to go in this race and then the race at Daytona before the playoffs start. The opportunity to score points, get positions, and put yourself in a better position to even make the playoffs, they are dwindling away. So every single lap matters here in this. And the Bobby Zelensky, he's comfortable, but he's making the most of it. Michael Cozy Jr. doing what he can. But if you're back here, you have to race just as hard every single lap because the time is running out.
And I think in any other circumstance, Richmond is not a racetrack that I would describe as predictable and get out of it what you can expect to get out of it. But with Daytona in 2 weeks, Lord knows what's going to happen on the high banks there. Yeah, I mean, you really need to put yourself in a good spot. If you're talking about plus minus, we said plus 40 points above the cut line means you would be safe on points headed into Daytona. It also means that anything not minus 40 below either the cut or elsewhere, as there's trouble for the 51 machine of Garrett Maines. Caution flag number 2 on the afternoon as he is spun around in turn 4. And this is a brand new ball game now inside of the final 30.
You know, I was just about to mention, guys, how the setups are mattering more than ever because we've gone green so long that, again, you don't need to come down on pit road for tires just because you can go on fuel. If you can extend it 70 laps, and so be it. But now this is really the first time where everyone has to come in for tires, and that's going to be big on whether they miss their box, if they make mistakes down there, and how the field will stack up as a result. Boy, that was a blessing for Ryan Luza, who was slowly getting hounded down by Quentin Warman and all the drivers who were packing in right behind them. First chance for them to make a difference on pit road tonight.
So we'll take a second look as it is going to be wholesale service for just about everybody to come down pit road. The 51 machine of Garrett Maines, center of 3 wide, a little bit staggered into the corner, and 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touches. He was trying to get into the middle there on his own, almost had it saved, and a late bit of contact that might have been Thomas Lloyd who got into him. Let's see Jake Nichols' perspective from behind is, I don't know, he might have got a little bit on the right rear, but that could have been a lot worse as he tiptoes his way through. And that's going to be how this all shakes out. Drivers forcing the issue. That's that mid-20s battle that we were just looking at a few laps prior. Again, almost had it saved until the late hit there puts us under the second yellow of the afternoon. So one more look from far and away behind it. Late scare, almost guessed wrong. I'm trying to go high.
That's
to
Femi
avoid
on,
that
too.
one. Yeah, that would have been a big moment for Femi. He ends up missing it by, call it a foot on the bottom. And now we have a new look inside of your race leaders because the 86 car of Blake Reynolds has decided to stay out. He is the new race leader. Nate Stewart in the 5 also has stayed out. He will go to the number 2 position. That means that Vicente Salas and everybody else on the back, almost unanimously on pit road, decided to make the decision to go for just right side tires. They are all going to be lining up third on back.
I don't know if this is fate working out in some way here at Richmond, but I can feel like I recall a moment late in the race when there was a yellow where a driver named Blake stayed out, on old tires trying to gain track position. It was Blake McCandless who did it last year, our good friend, and now it's Blake Reynolds here on the inside of row number 1. Now, Stewart, of course, has better tires, but just like last season, Evan, with 9 laps to go, there are only 2 cars, so the buffer for the fresh tire cars is so little that they can easily break free off turn 2. You just need this to go green. However, Richmond is Richmond. We know this race can get chaotic.
There's a bit of a difference between Blake and Nate. Blake hasn't pitted at all in this race. Nate Stewart did. It was 5 laps into the race. He took 4 tires. At the end of the day, that difference is going to be nothing between what's happening on the front row and what's going to be happening behind them. Keep an eye on Salas and Luza as they try to get into the mix, because this could get dicey. 22 laps to go in Richmond. It's a great start for Reynolds on the bottom. The 5 can't get going. It's going to hurt Luza. And now here comes Vicente Salas. Luza to the outside. 4 wide behind as the 11 car goes around and back to the race lead.
What a drive from Salas, almost like Zelensky did it last week in Nashville. Oh, there's a spinner in turn 3. It's Sean Conklin sideways. They're still stacking up off turn 4. It's a parking lot almost. The yellow comes out. Somehow the drivers got away without a huge parking lot crash. And it was a 2-parter there, Evan, as the fresh tire cars were breaking through 3 and 4 wide. And the field escapes almost full mayhem with 21 to go.
Surgical
I mean, that was the biggest non-wreck, Alan, I've ever seen.
Well, yes, backed them all up and caused enough chaos for the caution, but look who's back out front. That was surgical for Vicente Salas to be able to cut through that front row there, as we'll get a replay here. The stack up. Here's the wreck. Oh, Conklin saves it. A little damage.
I think that's the actual cause of the yellow, was Tinsley being semi-sideways, but even then he still saved it.
And there was more happening in turn 1. Like, there was 3 or 4 instances of cars getting sideways. Here's a look at what happened for the lead. Vicente, I think, really appreciated the great start that Blake Reynolds had. And then right to the outside off of the quarter. I think Quinton Warman also trying to make it a battle for the lead, trying to get inside of Vicente before he cleared, just could not do it. And I thought they were wrecking there for 3rd. They were all stacking up on the bumper of the 86 car. If we let them go another half lap, they may have been wrecking for that number 3 spot on back. But obviously that's a big milestone in this. We knew that Blake Reynolds and Nate Stewart didn't have any realistic hope at being able to defend that track position. The question was, who from row 2 is going to get to the lead first? And the great restart from the 86 of Reynolds allowed Salas to get the upper hand and dart out in front and regain the race lead where he has been for much of the night. Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but NASCAR 26 will be available on September the 18th. You can scan the QR code on screen now to pre-order for Xbox, PlayStation, or Steam, guys. And a lot of exciting new features and upgrades coming to this version of the game compared to 25.
Yeah, of course, we've got the Chase, the brand new point system for this year, a new training mode with Steve Letarte, cross-platform multiplayer, and you've got new tracks in there as well. Naval-based Coronado, we race it here on iRacing. Everyone will get a chance to here on NASCAR 26, St. Petersburg, the street course that the Truck Series raced at this year. My favorite edition, Alan, the Homestead Championship finale, back where I think it should be. So it's great NASCAR 26 out there, and everyone can get in on the action to pre-order.
That sun-setting photo at Homestead as you crown a champion is the way to go. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to firing up the console. Not everyone may have iRacing, but a bunch of your friends have a console game. You can race them and beat them on there.
And if you decide to go for the gold edition on that pre-order, you get 3 days of early access compared to everybody else. You also get 4 monthly paint scheme DLC packs, 1,000 career mode rep points, and a $10,000 career bonus for your career. So a lot of fun things as well if you're looking to get the most out of your NASCAR 26 experience. So because the caution flag came out within a lap of the restart, we will go to single file with 16 laps to go. Worth noting that if we have a similar situation inside of the final 10, we would not see the field go to single file. So maybe one of the last looks at this we'll have in this race. Salas up on the wall, going to defend and get sole control over when we go. Green flag back in the air. Who's going to be the first person to dive out of line? It's for second. Steven Wilson under Warman in a battle for P2.
Trying to take a look underneath, but remember this track has rubbered in, so Warman can get the fight back on the high side, and third place is still up for grabs almost for a bit. Ryan loses hunting down on Parker White as they come off of turn 4. What a drive off turn 4. Quentin Warman takes the nose ahead, still 3 wide in the mid-pack with Duval in the middle.
At 86 car, Allen continuing to fall. Blake Reynolds trying to find pockets as these faster cars try to navigate around him.
Yes, in this race for second right now, Quentin Warman on the outside. Steven Wilson, just when I expressed the smallest bit of doubt. Oh, we got action back here. Steven Wilson, though, trying to get in the top 2, but 4 wide into the corner. Seth Knoll way on the outside, but making it work, but contact there. Stacks everybody up. No caution, though, but next corner only a few seconds away.
Falkenham belt knocked the fence down off of 2. Somehow we are not done yet. This was all instigated by Reynolds coming back through here. He's already fallen out of the picture, but it got these cars on the same tire strategy, all lined up next to each other. They can't get out of it. 4 wide off at turn number 2. Can they make it down the back straightaway? Still 4 wide. The 25 bails. The 5's into the outside wall. Stewart, can he save it? No. And another yellow gonna bridge us into the final 10.
I mean, that was a wreck, kind of waiting to happen for the longest time. There was a point where they were 4 wide, and Donovan Stroud said to Daniel Falkingham, "Dang, Falk, I can't go anywhere." There's just no space when everyone is occupying the real estate here at Richmond Raceway. And, of course, it was the old tire, fresh tire debacle of them all merging together. And you had the problems there with Blake Reynolds, but it was Nate Stewart who was the one who ended up with the short end of the stick. Look at him. He's that third car in the middle of the grid. And there he is, Seth Knoll, Seth Marin, Seth Knoll, and Logan Helton, all the drivers getting around. So Stewart is going to fall back to the field. He's holding the outside, but look how everyone just points to the bottom. 3, 4 wide in a matter of a few seconds. And then you'll see those last cars coming in that will eventually create the initial contact. It was Michael Cozy Jr. getting into the back into Stewart, saves it off the wall, but not sure if any tolling damage was a result of that, and the car ended up spinning to the outside. A tough break for Stewart.
Alan, I think hard to blame Cozy in that one. Obviously, he was car length and a half back. I normally wouldn't recommend that kind of a dive, but the context on Cozy's on fresher tires. We know he's got a top 10 car speed-wise. I think if you're the slower car there, you have to anticipate if that's open down the back straightaway, even if he's 10, 15 feet behind you, you kind of anticipate a guy like Cozy is going to be going down there.
Clearly a speed disparity, but Nate Stewart didn't spin on his own, so let's not totally absolve Cozy there for spinning the 5, because spin doesn't happen without Cozy diving in there.
We referenced earlier a lot going on in the world of eNASCAR, and that includes the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, because class is almost back in session. You can scan and register for the 2026-27 season now. We've already talked about some of the exciting changes coming to the series. The fact that we're going to not just have the NASCAR National Touring Series cars, but we've got some other stuff joining. And we talked about it on Countdown to Green earlier tonight, Kenneth, as well. A school or university championship as well. Going to be part of this, where the top scorer from each institution will also score points towards a school title as well. Going to be a ton of fun as always.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. So instead of an individual effort, it almost feels like a group project, right? We have the individual driver point standings to go for the title at the end of the season, but then, of course, the school championship to represent your colors, represent the school pride, and also the inclusion of IMSA and the Mustang GT4, with 2 of the tournaments in the college season going to road course racing with those Ford Mustang GT4. So that's going to be really cool. It's going to expand the horizons. It's going to make the drivers challenged more overall. They're going to have to be aces on not only the ovals with the trucks, but on the road courses with those GT4s. So it's going to be fun.
So inside of the final 10 laps we go, which means that those single file restarts are now off the table from this point on. It's going to be a restart with 7 laps to go. None of the drivers who stayed out a couple of stints ago are still out there on the racetrack. How does that affect how put together the midfield could be? Vicente Salas trying to shut this one down, gets another great restart. Wilson once more down to the inside trying to get P2.
Salas going to hope that those two behind remain door to door. They're 4 wide once again. It's Casey Kerwin, the Coca-Cola machine on the inside. Alt in the middle, DeMerchant right in front, and a Wickwear Racing Chevrolet on the very outside. They have not let the race leader get away. 6 laps to go, and Warman continues in the fight with Wilson to turn 1.
This is a 3-way battle for the lead. 5 laps to go. This is the most action Salas has seen all night, and this is for the win. Deeper in the field, 3 wide. Every position matters for a point as we look toward the playoffs. Action everywhere here with only a few laps to go in Richmond, and that's the bubble man, Casey Kerwin, on the inside of 4 wide right there. Can they keep it together? No, it looks like a caution will fly.
DeMerchant spins, the 99 spins, and another yellow after the midfield continues to midfield. DeMerchant, Lowe, Doucette, all involved in this latest round. And it's the same thing we've seen the last couple of attempts. You get a late race restart. Again, there's no tire discrepancy. There's no old tires versus new tires in that conversation. Those are all guys straight up going for it. At speed, equal tires. And just the way this racetrack races, if you want to put it 4 and 5 wide, you can. And it seems like the resounding answer tonight is they're going to do it, even if they shouldn't.
You know, one thing that the drivers talked about when they were interviewed in media day and the stuff before the season started, a lot of them gave the same overall answer of this series is so competitive, you can't separate from other drivers because everybody's so tightly packed. You make one mistake when you're 4 wide, and a driver's going to pounce. A driver's going to take up the real estate. Keep an eye on that beige orange number 14 of Seth DeMerchant. So he's in the middle of 4 wide. This is fine. Business as usual for now, but it's going to be turn 4 in this lap that's going to create the issue. So he's on the outside of Dylan All. Take a peek at that white and blue number 4 of Donovan Strauss. It's right behind DeMerchant on the outside lane. DeMerchant's going to get loose. The rear tires light up right there from the initial contact off of the nose of All. He gets loose right there. Strauss fills up the space. And I mean, it's like a bottleneck. I mean, there's nowhere for Seth to go. He is getting punched in on either direction. The only option is to just bear the contact and hope that it sticks. He wiggles the car trying to save it, and eventually it's going to unravel out of control to create the spin.
I always think, Alan, the fact that you don't have to pay for the damage or feel the wreck into the wall helps some of these moves. But, you saw the opportunity there for the car to go to the outside for Donovan Strauss, and that overhead showed you if that contact doesn't happen, he gets 4 spots by making that move. So it's very easy for us to say, just stay in line, don't make the move. Well, if you lift and cut somebody a break, you're the guy losing 4 spots. And that is the vicious cycle that all these drivers are kind of stuck in.
Yeah, especially with only a few laps left as we head toward overtime. What's interesting is Quentin Warman is doing all the hard work and getting and finishing and staying ahead of Steven Wilson. I think it almost hurts him on all these restarts to now be stuck on the outside. We've seen it a few times here. He ends up battling with Steven Wilson. The inside seems to be like where you want to be to have a shot at Vicente Salas and taking this victory. So it's going to be interesting what happens on what could be the final restart, but we've just hit overtime.
It is attempt number 1 of a possible 3 at eNASCAR overtime. I think we've run out the clock on overtime every time we've entered it this season. We'll see if tonight is a factor in that as well. It is worth noting, I don't know about superstitions, but the strength of field for this race is 7,777. And if there was any other scenario for the 77 of Steven Wilson to maybe pull this one out, I don't know if those circumstances are the one to make it happen. But if you're a fan of that kind of stuff, keep that in note. He will once again, from row number 2, try to do something with Vicente Salas and Quentin Warman. But Salas, the dominant car on the afternoon, just needs 2 more laps out of it. It's a great start, though, for Wilson, who's on the bumper of the race leader.
Match the pace with Warman. Now he dives on the inside looking for Salas. Remember, they're 4 wide. They can easily create another overtime restart. Once again, it's mano-a-mano in the runner-up spot between Wilson and Warman. Wilson dives in turn 3, misses the apex. Warman has a chance to clear on the outside of turn 4. White flag from Richmond.
This is what Vicente Salas wants to see. 2 cars battling behind him. He's got to face off with both of them, but only he's driving away down the backstretch.
Quentin Warman finally clears. He's a car length back. Is it going to be too far? Looking to the bumper, not in time. Vicente Salas once more, a Richmond Raceway winner.
Look at the emotion from Salas.
Career win number 6 for Vicente Salas. In a, I think, statement for how his season's been. Was one of the top drivers coming into this one, but had yet to notch a race victory under his belt. And is Vicente Salas getting hot when it matters the most? Because he's a race winner in 2026. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Let's take a look at your Coca-Cola move of the race. Probably a dozen you could pick from this guy, but it comes down to the final restart, Kenneth. Ironically, maybe the worst of the restarts he got late in the race because Quentin and Steven were right there, but the 11 still got it done.
Yeah, they made it a good fight, but honestly, it was them staying side by side that helped Salas pull away. And even then, they're still underneath the car lane, right there to the back bumper of the 11, but Salas maintains his composure. Again, this place treated him to his first career win back in 2021. He says this place is so special to him for that. It was the start of his eNASCAR career as we know it for Salas, and the driver who made it to the finale race last year is back in the playoffs after a beautiful overtime restart.
And all of a sudden, Vicente Salas has won a race in 3 straight seasons of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. That is not a stat line that many drivers can boast. Photo margin of victory ends up at just over 0.2 of a second in favor of Vicente Salas, who goes on to lead a race high 69 laps in this one before it is said and done. And with that, he's parked on the front straightaway. Celebrations to follow, secured into the playoffs. It will have no stress at all when we head to the Daytona International Speedway in a couple of weeks' time. Here are our Coca-Cola full race results. It is a win for the Canadi Sports number 11 of Vicente Salas, the one of 2 Toyotas inside of a Chevrolet heavy top 10. Quentin Warman, big points night for a heat race winner and a runner-up tonight. We're going to be talking about that car possibly being in a playoff spot, if not awfully close when this thing's said and done. And then Steven Wilson, it's not another win, but for a Wilson slump, maybe a slump buster, podium tonight here in Richmond. Parker White, Tucker Minter, they're your top 5 drivers. And then Connor Urashak, Zach Novak, Dylan Duval, Jordy Lopez, and Daniel Falkingham, the top 10.
11th goes to Matthew Morton with one of his best finishes of the season for the rookie driver. Donovan Strauss in 12th, Seth Knoll back in 13th. Christopher Hill and Sean Conklin round out the top 15. What a drive from Casey Kerman. I mean, given all the circumstances, still drove the Chevrolet to 16th place after starting at the back of the field. Sebastian Marin, 17th. Bobby Zelensky, Kenny Brady, and Michael Cozy Jr. to the top 20. Tough day at the office for the ERA Sports Camp.
Yeah, tried to crawl back a lot, but did not get quite as much. Garrett Maines ends up in the number 21 spot. Wyatt Tinsley comes home in 22nd. Both he and Dylan Basin picked up 15 spots. Blaze Crawford also did a great job at digging out of the high 30s to get something out of this race. The late strategy for Blake Reynolds on pit stops does not play out. He'll slide down to P27. Your segment 2 champ, Garrett Lowe, is 28th. Not a great night for the BS competition entry ahead of Thomas Lloyd and Malik Ray, 29th and 30th.
31st, Femi Olatunbosin, going to be a big hit to his desire to make it to the playoffs this year. Nichols and Luza and Bias and Doucette rounding out the top 35, and drivers that are involved in crashes. Nate Stewart involved, Tommy Gossett, Logan Helton, Seth the Merchant, and Dylan Alt, the final driver in our 40-car field from the Commonwealth.
To look top to bottom at your Coca-Cola full race results, let's go trackside and talk with your race winner. First on the year for 2026, it's Vicente Salas.
A dominant max points night for Vicente Salas, but your biggest challenge came right at the end of the final restart. What happened there from your perspective to get yourself in that battle?
Yeah, I mean, we just had to be dialed those last restarts. I mean, this restart zone is in such a peculiar place at this track that, you know, you're kind of just in a tough situation every time, you know, with them guessing where you're going to go, going in one consistent spot. So I'm glad that we came out of it with the victory. But, I mean, just got to give a huge shout out to everybody at Dead Zone Racing, Dave Siltman, Houston Hammer, the whole team. They all worked really, really hard on this car alongside me. And I feel like we've been the best at the short tracks the last couple of years. So super, super stoked to bring this result home for them. And just everybody at Miramar Financial, my dad, my uncle, Joanne, everybody that watches and supports back home. I'm just so grateful for the support system that we have and the fact that we could bring this victory home.
And we know Tony Kanon's celebrating out there somewhere. Vicente, we've seen you win before, but the way you reacted, the way you celebrated, I don't know if we've ever seen that. What was that emotion we saw right after the checkered flag?
Man, I felt, after last year, I felt like we weren't finished with this series and what I want to accomplish here. And going into this year, I know that my driving is at its best, and we've been working really hard on the setups. And, a couple races we haven't had the setup where we want it. The few races we have had it where we want it, things just haven't gone our way. Like last week at Nashville, for example, with everything that happened at the end. So I guess just for all the chips to fall our way and for it to finally go in our direction just felt really, really good. And like I said, I mean, Jonathan Platt, Dave Siltman, Caden Honeycutt, these guys that show up on my box every single week to help support me, feed me information, and help me do well in these races, like they're putting in the time that I am as well. So to bring home this result for, my whole team and everyone that supports me means just as much as it does for myself.
Well, you've done a lot this year, and now you've got that important victory as well. Legitimate title contender, Vicente Salas. Congratulations on the win tonight.
Thank you.
Hey, not every second is created equal, but Quentin Warman, all the points in the heat, good points here, getting second place. But let's start with the final restart, because it looks like Vicente, you gave him the battle of the race right at the end. Take me through the green flag toward the checkered flag.
Man, I keep thinking back on it. All I needed was to go a bit earlier, and I would have had a shot. The middle lane was rolling on those restarts. I just needed to time it a little better, but I'm still glad to come up with a second. It's my best career finish, and I took a quick look at the points. I am right below the cut line, so all I need is a good race at Daytona, and I'm in the playoffs. But Daytona's interesting, so I'm gonna have to have Lady Luck on my side to make the playoffs.
Hey, well, you didn't need it tonight because you earned it. Talk about the preparation that goes into a fixed race like this, but also, having to dominate the heat and race amongst the best like Vicente and Steven and end up getting nearly the victory.
It's just running a lot of laps. You gotta put in the time. You gotta test, do pretty much everything that all the guys at the top level do to be able to perform. And since we're on the topic, I want to give a big thanks to all the guys at Nexus Esports, Jason Middleton, Connor O'Krizik, John Hall, and everyone else for all the work we put in. I think this race was the most work we've ever put in for a Coke race, and it showed.
Well, it paid off. Career best, and you're way ahead of us. You know where the points are. One more race, you got plenty of opportunity to do it. Congrats, Quentin.
Thank you, guys.
Quentin Warman finishing second tonight from Richmond. Let's join one of the TC Esports drivers, the rookie Matthew Morton. Matthew, 30th in the feature, 11th at the end after starting there. Number one, how did you do it? What did it look like from your perspective, gaining all the track position and the result tonight?
Yeah, I mean, all it really was just patience and knowing we have the car under us to kind of gain those spots early in the race. I mean, it was all about just saving tire and just keeping our car clean. We had to avoid a lot of wrecks. Had some luck along the way, but again, had a good car, was able to make some moves late, and got lucky on the late restarts.
So as this race kind of works out for you, I know Sean Conklin has been the driver at the top of the Rookie of the Year standings point for so far, but you've been trying to chase him alongside the other rookies, a very deep class this year. What are you going to try to do at Daytona and then, of course, through the playoffs to try and rally that back and capture the Rookie of the Year honors?
Yeah, I mean, Sean's in a really good spot for Rookie of the Year. So, I mean, for Daytona, we just got to go out there and win, right? Go to the playoffs. That would be a great rookie year. But, regardless, this has been a great year. Obviously, I want to go for Rookie of the Year. But if I can get second or third, I think in a class like this, I think that is still very respectable. But main goal for the year is just to be able to make it back for 2027. And we're just going to continue to put ourselves in that spot.
Well, hopefully the Belgian boss, Thibaut Courtois, is going to be very happy about this run, Matthew. Congratulations on the top 11. We'll see you at Daytona with the field in a little bit.
Thank you, guys.
Big thanks to all those drivers for giving us a little bit of time post-race in this one. And with that, 8 down, 1 race to go. Only the high banks of the Daytona International Speedway now down between us and knowing the 10 drivers who will fight for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series title. And here is a look at how the playoff standings shake out headed into the final week. Now, Tucker Minter, plus 50, a mathematical lock. 40 is max points, so he is in. He will join Lowe, White, Salas, Wilson, and Zelensky in the playoff grid, which means 7th on back is the conversation. Urashak, Conklin, Tinsley, and Kerwin, the drivers above the bubble. But Casey Kerwin's got to know that if any name on that right-hand side of the screen either leapfrogs him in points or wins, that could change for him as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun trying to keep track of that at about 185 miles an hour every lap.
Yeah, Alan and I think we almost made the same face looking at how tight that gap is. It's 7 points from 10th, the last spot in, and 13th in Zach Novak. And those are all, for the most part, other than Quentin is a sophomore, they're relatively veteran drivers in this series. They've been around for a while. They've been in similar situations like this before. It's going to get intensely close coming to the Superspeedway.
There is zero comfort if you are any of those drivers. Kano Urashak on back. Again, of course, with the win and in that you can get. Seb Merritt, minus 41 by one. Just out of mathematically being able, unless he gets the victory, he would have to do that, which you can do in this format. But points-wise, you're Kano Urashak, you are not comfortable. If you are someone like Femi, you can race your way in at a place like Daytona. That's what's fun about this format.
Sean Conklin, I think, also a fun story. We have not had a rookie qualify for the playoffs since Jordy Lopez and Tucker Minter did it back in 2023. Also, the Segment 3 title is on the line, and look how tight it is there, because Quinton Warren could be looking at a twofold. Number one, he's got to get into the playoffs. Ooh. But number two is, if it's Parker White, Quinton Warman, Tucker Minter, 2 points separating the top 3. That 5 points going into the playoffs would be awarded to your eventual Segment 3 champion as well.
Yeah, 2 of the top 3 are almost destined on a bound path to the playoffs. White with a win, Minter locked in on points. Warman is the only if out of that group, but he can desperately make a charge. I mean, Daytona went well for him. I mean, he can be a good super speedway racer, as we've seen. So it all comes down to one final race. And with the rookies in 10, we talked about Matthew Morton trying to chase down Sean Conklin. Still possible, guys. Still possible with a few races left.
It's worth noting, obviously, Conklin the only driver above the cut line right now in the playoff standings, Alan, but this is going to continue not only through Daytona, but all of the weeks after that. So Rookie of the Year honors not out of contention, even though they sit at about 40. You're looking at a 5-race difference there. And now to the team standings, where Spire Motorsports occupies the top position. They have a 24-point advantage. William Byron Esports taking a bit of a chunk out of that advantage, and Kansas City Pioneers came into tonight P2. They take a bit of a step back.
Yeah, Canon Esports, with behind Vicente Salas, they're sitting there in 5th. Remember, it can be about a 70-point swing potentially during any of these races, so still plenty of racing left to go. But the better Tucker Minter do, the better Christopher Money Hill can do. And Steven Wilson, credit to him. By his standards, again, kind of knocked out of his slump, got a top 3 finish tonight and helped Spire Motorsports maintain its team lead right there.
So the last couple of years, it was Pocono. We had seen some other racetracks, Darlington, Michigan, Talladega back in 2020. I think the nearest comparison to what we are going to see in 2 weeks' time. It is the traditional season opener, which will conclude the regular season in 2 weeks' time. Win and you're in, critical points, and chaos guaranteed, guys, as we head to our regular season finale.
Usually in this series, guys, Daytona likes to tell the story of who's on top of the first race, who's locked in the playoffs after race 1. What does the scope look like on a super speedway for the first time? This is going to be even more interesting. It's going to decide the fate for those who are finally in to the playoffs with points on the line and a segment as well, Alan. It's crazy.
Opportunity for so many drivers out there to get it done. We see how meaningful a victory is, even for someone like Vicente Salas. He was having a great year, but winning matters. Winning matters in this format. Winning matters to getting a championship. That's what was behind his celebration tonight. I want to see someone do it in Daytona.
If you've been with us till this point, we can count on you being there in 2 weeks' time. But until then, that is it for us here tonight from Richmond. On behalf of our entire team at iRacing, NASCAR, the entire broadcast crew behind the scenes, and of course for your broadcast team tonight. For Ryan Vargas, James Pike, Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, and myself, Evan Pasoka, I want to thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time, Tuesday, August the 18th, for the regular season finale at Daytona International Speedway. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Till then, good night from Richmond, and congratulations to your race winner tonight, Vicente Salas. First win for him and Canon Esports on the season. We'll have him riding high going into the postseason.